there, YouTube, and thanks for stopping back in my kitchen. If this happens to be the first time you're dropping by my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe, and if you really like it, hit that bell icon so you can get notified of my future posts. Today, we are going to be making a super, actually delicious and healthy recipe that tastes pretty much like junk food. Like, you probably aren't going to believe me now, but it's the truth. This is a cauliflower and chickpea wrap with avocado dip, and it actually happens to be one of my husband's most requested dishes. He absolutely loves it. Even though there's no cheese, no animal protein, anything unhealthy for you, just whole foods and a simple prep, which is great for me. So I guess without further ado, let's jump right into the ingredients. For the filling, we are literally just going to be using a can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas. They are the same thing, in case you didn't know. So this is just a, where is the, I don't know, it's probably 15. Yep, 15-ounce can of garbanzo beans. We're going to be using a whole head of cauliflower and a package of taco seasoning. I happen to love McCormick everything. Like, I am not sponsored by anybody. I am a new YouTuber. I just really like McCormick's products. I think they have quality spices, so I'm using their original taco seasoning. And then we are going to be using some avocado oil. And that's it for our filling. And then for the delicious avocado dip, this stuff is so good, guys. Like, it's good. It's just like a riff on guacamole, but it's simple and it requires no slicing and dicing. So we're going to be using a little bit of cumin, a serrano chile. We'll be using half of that. We're going to be using the juice of a whole lime, 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, depending on how big they are once I open it up, some salt, 2 nice ripe soft avocados, and a handful of cilantro. And then I will pop some water in it in the good old NutriBullet when we blend it. And then lastly, we are going to be using these whole wheat tortillas. I got these at the grocery store. If you can't find whole wheat ones, you can use the regular pitas, or you could really use whatever you want. If you want it to be a wrap, do a wrap. If you want it to be a taco, make it a taco. It's your kitchen, and you need to please your family and use what you have access to. So, in the meantime, I have our oven set to 425, and I have a hotel size baking sheet laid out with 2 silpats on it. And Fifi is very unhappy in the other room. So, in the meantime, let me go ahead and get set up for our prep. The prep for this dish is super easy. Just open, drain, and rinse your chickpeas. And then go ahead and start to break down your cauliflower. I actually just recently learned like the most effective way to break down cauliflower and broccoli into florets. And basically, it's kind of hard to see in this because it's time-lapse, but you cut the head or the crown in half and then cut each half into quarters, and then you should be able to slice out the large stem in the middle, like on an angle, and then most of the time it'll break up into nice little florets. It's harder with cauliflower than it is with broccoli. With broccoli, it works like an absolute charm. So maybe I'll make a video about how to break down vegetables in the most effective way. And if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and pop it in the comments. You know, I mean, sometimes people don't know like how to break down a green pepper without getting seeds everywhere, or how to chop an onion properly. So definitely throw me a comment if that's something you would like. Go ahead and wash your cauliflower and put it on your baking sheet, and then we're going to go ahead and just slice our lime in half, slice our serrano chile in half, peel our clove of garlic, and then open up these 2 avocados, and we are ready to go. Okie dokie, so our prep is done. I forgot to mention during the prep, you just need to wash and like keep to the side the handful of cilantro, because you don't need to chop it because it's going in the blender. So I thought I would mention that. And then on our silpat with our, wow, on our silpat that is on the cookie sheet, we have the garbanzo beans and the cauliflower. We are just going to wing it and estimate how much oil we're putting on here. So that looks good to me. It's probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe 3. You could use spray oil if you want to be more sparingly. Be more sparingly. Is that the way you say that? If you want to be stingier with the oil if you're trying to count calories or whatever, but this is already healthy and delish, so we're moving on. I have our taco seasoning open. We're just going to dump it on there and then start mixing it. always make sure you have clean hands. Clean hands are the most important tool in the kitchen. Make sure everything gets really nice and coated. So we don't want any of that. That one looks lonely and sad. He's sad. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're gonna go ahead and spread everything out and try to get like an even layer. And you wanna make sure like you've got cauliflower kind of everywhere and chickpeas kind of everywhere. That way they get a nice even cooking throughout the whole pan and throughout all of the dish. You don't wanna just have like all cauliflower on the outside and all chickpeas on the inside, because then some will be crisp and some won't. And we just kind of want a nice even cook on all of the separate pieces. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little bit of a shake. That looks good to me. We're gonna pop this in the oven for 20 minutes and give me 1 second to wash my hands, and I will be back with how we prep our avocado dip. I know. Again, my phone is out of battery, so excuse my phone charger. I'm so sorry about that. Moving on, in our NutriBullet cup, see if it can focus, I tossed in the bottom the cilantro, and then I went ahead and just scooped out our avocados directly into the cup. Next, we will be adding, I'm just gonna go with 1 clove of garlic. Personally, I probably, if it was any smaller than this, I would go with 2 cloves, but not if it's gonna sit overnight. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but if the dip sits overnight with 2 cloves of raw garlic inside of it, it is going to get really strong, but we're gonna eat this right now, so I'm just gonna go with 1, not worry about it, and we will move on. So 1 clove of garlic into the cup. We are going to be using half of a chile serrano or a serrano pepper. You can put the whole thing in there if you're cray, but I would not. Like, even a half of a pepper can be kind of spicy. So if you and your family do not like spicy food, feel free to skip it entirely. It's totally up to you. If you do skip it, I would recommend adding a pinch of black pepper, just so that way it has some pepper in there in general. I am going to be dumping in our 1 teaspoon of cumin. We're going to be using half of a teaspoon of Himalayan pink sea salt. And lastly, the juice of 1 lime. I'm going to finish squeezing these in here. I'll just stay on camera. We're going to squeeze it in there. This is a really large lime, so if you don't like lime and you have a big lime like that, you could use half, but my husband loves lime. He's a Mexican. I think it's a Mexican thing. Even my babies love lime. They like lick it, but it's all right for me. Just all right. All right, so there we go. We have everything in the cup of the blender. I'm going to put the water on, and we're going to add a good amount of liquid. I would say that's about half of the blender cup. We're going to start there, and then we're going to continue to add more as needed, but it's best to start off with too little water than to put too much, because you can't take it out. So let me throw the lid on the blender and get this buzzed up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually didn't end up having to add any additional liquid to the cup. I don't know how clearly you could see it. It is a nice thick paste. This is not a sauce. This is supposed to be like thick, like a dip, because we're going to be using it to spread across the whole pita, and it kind of holds our filling in place. So you don't want this runny at all. You want this nice and thick. Like, I don't know, I guess this kind of shows, I guess we could reference it as like a stiff peaks texture if you were like comparing it to eggs. So there is our avocado dip, and also no specks. Like, blend it until it is completely all uniform in color. now all we have to do is literally wait. We've got about 15 more minutes, 13 more minutes left on our filling, and I will be back when we assemble our pita sandwiches. Okay, so our 20 minutes had elapsed, but I checked our vegetables and they need maybe 5 more minutes. Crisp tender is fine because all the other textures in the pita are soft, but they were a little bit too crunchy, the cauliflower. So I think 5 more minutes should be good. And then on the top rack, I tossed in 3 pitas and those will toast up while we're waiting for the whole thing to finish. Okay, everything is done. Let's see if we can get it to focus better. Our cauliflower has started to get a little bit brown around the edges. The chickpeas are nice and crispy, and our pitas are nice and soft. I guess I said toasting them, but I really meant just warming them, because I prefer pitas to be a chewy texture and not a crunchy texture, but that's totally your call. So, like I said, I'm serving it just with a simple side salad, so I've got that on the plate. I transferred our avocado dip to a Pyrex because there will be extra left over and it does store well for a couple days. And so we're going to put 2 huge plops or tablespoons directly on the pita and then spread it out like pizza sauce. Sorry, it's much harder to do things and look through a camera than you would imagine. I feel like that needs a little bit more. Alright, so we did 3 whacks, and if you're new to my channel, you will understand that whacks is a measurement I use all the time. And when I say whack, I mean like a whack, like scoop and a whack. I do it with butter, I do it with a lot of things, so now you're up to speed with that. And then lastly, we are going to take our chickpea cauliflower filling, and we're going to pile it here. But since I do have clean floors, I am not going to do this on camera. I'm going to put this on hold, and I will be back with the finished product. Alrighty, so here is our finished product. We have our chewy pita topped with the crispy chickpeas and our roasted cauliflower, all seasoned with taco seasoning that come together to make a really, truly delicious sandwich, even though it's healthy and full of veggies. So I can't wait to bite into it. My husband has already started on his. You like it? And unfortunately the babies don't like it, but that's okay. They're sick, as you can tell. That's why they look like little ragamuffins with their hair. But in any case, I can't wait to bite into this, so we're gonna get going. Thank you for stopping by. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. And I'm also gonna link 2 other videos that might interest you here as well. So if you feel like it, check them out. Thanks again for stopping by my kitchen.